What's up and what's good, my friends? I have a special video for you all today. Recently, Hunter Avallone, a popular young conservative YouTuber, was speaking to one of his young college liberal critics. I have the link to the whole conversation in the description below. In this part of their exchange, the young college liberal was attempting to attack Christianity and defend Islam. You're going to see how Hunter absolutely destroys the guy and how the young liberal stumbles all over himself and even contradicts himself. Now, I understand Hunter Avallone doesn't identify as a Christian now, given his recent conversion, but I still have a lot of respect for him defending Christians from the fallacious comparisons liberals like him try to make. In between this video, I will provide some of my own commentary, pointing out just how much this liberal embarrasses himself. And so, without further ado, let's jump right in.
It's not America's fault that Islam is violent. It's Islam's fault.
Islam is not inherently violent. Okay.
Right off the bat, we see him saying that Islam isn't inherently violent. You're going to see how inconsistent he is in his own logic when he assesses Christianity.
Islam's ideology is founded on violence. Go read about the Prophet Muhammad. Go read about what he did to gay people.
Warlord. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not denying that at all. So when a lot of people, I hate to bring, another religion into this to compare, but when a lot of people hold Jesus Christ up as this excellent man.
Oh, here we go.
He was a good man. However, he did bad things and he
never killed anybody.
Yeah, well, he uprooted, businesses and threw down, people's establishments simply because he believed that it was greedy.
I think he's referring to instances such as when Jesus turned over tables in the temple. If examples like these are what he's talking about, then he couldn't have picked a more stupid example as proof Jesus allegedly did bad things. Jesus turned over tables in the temple because men were engaging in corruption in what's supposed to be a holy place for their own selfish ends. These people were engaging in a similar type of corruption that preachers, pastors, and clergymen engage in when taking offerings for their own personal profit instead of for the building up of the church. They were literally engaging in fraud and exploitation of the poor and doing it in the church. But apparently to him, things like that made Jesus out to be doing bad things. Let's give him a moment of silence for his stupidity. Thank you very much. And now we return to our regularly scheduled programming.
If you seriously think that compares in any way to the Prophet Muhammad being a warlord
and killing lots
murdering gay people, being a pedophile, it doesn't even compare. It doesn't even begin to compare. It's a false equivalency.
Okay.
Just flat out owned. Thug life moment, baby.
The bottom line is, there are 1.7 billion Muslims in the world, right? And
yes,
like there are, many, many, many Christians, they can't all attribute to this.
Okay, you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. No, you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. I am not saying that all Muslims are violent. I'm not saying that all Muslims are terrorists because I know not all Muslims are terrorists.
But
I'm saying that
Islam is
the ideology of Islam is the issue. Okay,
yeah,
listen, Islam, like I already said, Islam is founded on violence, and the Quran makes it clear that Muslims who do not kill are hypocrites doomed to hell. If you want my source for that, it comes from the Quran. It comes from a book I'm reading. A man who wrote it studied Islam for 12 years.
Look, I completely believe that. I'm not denying that at all. However, I'm saying it's one of those things that you take with a grain of salt. I mean, you were a Christian at one point.
It's not being taken, but it's not being taken as a grain of salt. Muslims are using it as justification to kill people.
Not all Muslims. Some people.
I'm not saying all. No, see, again, you're twisting the point. I'm not saying all Muslims.
My friends, do you see how this liberal is just struggling to defend Islam like he is? He doesn't even remotely try that same sort of defense for Christianity. It's quite telling if you ask me.
I never once said all Muslims.
No, I'm not saying that you did, but I am saying that it is kind of ridiculous to say that these people, who take this word and spin it and say, okay, well, the Quran says this, so simply because of my negative attitude and the politics that are going on in my life, I'm going to empower myself using this text to go kill lots of people, and then say, okay, well then the religion is the problem.
For those of you who go to the link below in the description to watch the full video, you'll actually find that earlier in the video, he said that organized religion was a problem. Now he's trying to say one of the biggest organized religions, Islam, is not the problem. You see how he contradicts himself? I'm telling you, these liberals struggle so much in their irrational argumentation, and they don't even listen to themselves talk. They struggle so hard to defend Islam. It's like they're sitting on the toilet and they're having a hard time doing number two. They're just trying to squeeze a terrible defense out their backsides. It's just hilarious.
The religion is the problem, though. Do you want me to do you want to hear some stats?
Sure. I mean, I just don't see how a text like,
you really
like
think,
a novel that people
do
are
you really think that it's all coincidence that so many Muslims are violent? Do you really think it's a coincidence?
No, not at all. I don't think it's a coincidence.
Okay, so let's see. Quran 8:12, I will cast terror into the hearts of those who disbelieve, therefore strike off their heads and strike off every fingertip of them. In 2015, there was a Muslim beheader. He actually invoked that verse to justify his killing of another man.
Yeah. I feel, of course, he would. I mean,
tell me if
I just have to interrupt real quick here. If you go back about 10 seconds, you'll see this dude kind of like juggle his hands, and you just analyze his body language. He just looks so apathetic. Like he's basically telling her, like, okay, move this along. I'm not really trying to hear this. I don't care. This is how a lot of these liberals act when they're confronted with the facts. When you challenge their narrative, they just don't want to hear it. And it's quite embarrassing, but this is how these people think. So let's continue on.
Islam is not inherently violent, then how come people who convert to Islam become violent?
I'm sure some do, but a lot of
Okay,
people.
yes, I'm not saying all of them, but let me ask you this then. Which one's more relevant? No, listen. Which one's more relevant? Which do you think is more important to talk about? The peaceful Muslims who are irrelevant, doing nothing and harming no one, or the violent ones that are harming people?
But why does the fact that they're Muslim does not really matter that much, frankly?
And he outright avoids the question, like a lot of liberals tend to do. This is sad, my friends. It really is.
Yeah, it matters. It matters everything. It
Why?
means everything. Because it further proves my point that Islam is a violent ideology.
It proves
Why are you so? I mean, what are you
violent? And they're using Islam to justify that violence. They, in my opinion, those people that join ISIS, people that join Al Qaeda, they are no different than the conservatives. I mean, you guys.
No, no. Hold on. Hold on. You realize that makes no difference, right? Okay, so a Muslim is violent using the Quran as justification to be violent. How is that any better?
It's not
still violent.
It's ridiculous, and in fact, that drives basically the same negative narrative about Muslims. I mean, it's helping to push that negative narrative about Muslims, saying, okay, well, this guy blew up a building and he is Muslim and he did it in the name of Islam, in the name of the Prophet Muhammad.
Yeah.
That's not a negative narrative, guy. That's called an observation. We're continually observing people in the name of Islam killing other people and people continuing to point it out. That's not a negative narrative being pushed. That's an observation of the facts. This dude seriously needs to learn the difference.
Therefore,
because Islam commands its followers to kill the infidels.
Christianity tells you that you need to kill your wife.
Christianity is not being used as justification to murder anybody, but Islam is.
That's not
the Christianity argument. No, the Christianity argument is completely irrelevant.
Yet another thug life moment, my friends. This is just too awesome seeing Hunter wreck this guy.
It's not even an argument. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying
very minimal is a very minimal basis to try to build on why these people are bad. If they're not bad because of Islam.
Okay. Continue.
So
wait. I'm sorry. I think I missed that. What was your last point? What'd you say there before?
They're not evil necessarily because of, I mean, I don't really believe in good or evil.
And there it is, my friends. He just literally undermined his own point with this moral relativism. He's sitting up here talking about how religions like Christianity are so bad, yet at the same time saying, well, I don't really believe in good or evil. This is the type of brainwashing that's been happening to our kids in these schools. You got kids who can't even think their way out of a wet paper bag. It's just sad. They argue as if there are real moral imperatives when they talk, but then on the other side of their mouth talk about they don't believe in good or evil. It don't really exist like that. You can't argue like moral imperatives on one side and then deny them on the other. Because if you take good and evil off the table, then you just have action and inaction. And just mere action and mere inaction, you don't have moral imperatives. He's brainwashed people. It's sad.
But they're not really. The
They're
religion
not evil
of
because of
is
Islam.
is a very kind of minimal. It's a more vocal point. Okay, it's an empowerment. It's a tool. They use Islam as a justification. So
Okay, how does that make anything better? That's if to me that's just as bad. If they're using Islam as justification to be violent, then it's just as bad.
we should be
Why is it
outraged.
if Islam is not a violent ideology, why is it able to be used as justification to be violent?
Because people can take anything and spin it like that.
Well,
People.
why do we not see it happening at the rate with other religions? Christians are not killing people every other day. Christians are not throwing gay people off rooftops. Christians are not
Well,
beating and murdering rape victims.
the conservative America was, holding these religious values to, hold back gays for hundreds of years in this country.
Did you all notice how he just did a complete red herring shift there? He gets challenged on Islam, what's happening today, and then he pivots the conversation to what he thinks went on back then. Even if he was 100% correct about his analysis of Christianity in the past, allegedly holding back gays, that has absolutely nothing to do with what's going on today. So the fact that he red herring shifts because he doesn't want to avoid the point that Hunter is pressing him on is quite desperate and pathetic. But this is one of the many tactics he does. Notice the pattern. When he defends Islam and then Hunter destroys his point, he attacks Christianity. Then they go to a next point about Islam. He destroys that, and then he pivots back to Christianity. It's a continuing pattern. But this is the desperation of liberals like this guy, my friends.
It's the same thing.
I think that's bad. I think that's bad. But
Okay.
holding back gay people is not nearly able.
As
You
bad
can
as
compare
murder.
that to throwing them off rooftops and stoning them to death, which, by the way, is also justified by the Quran. I can read you that verse if you'd like.
Wait,
Free
it's just
practice-
about the Bible too. I totally believe you.
Quran 780 through 84. For you practice your lusts on men in preference to women, you are indeed a people transgressing beyond bounds, and we rain down on them a shower of brimstone.
Yeah.
Literally, I kid you not, I think it was last year or 2 years ago, ISIS threw gay people off buildings and then stoned them to death. Their
They-
violence is being justified by the Quran.
Yeah, and it's a good point. I mean, yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah.
About that.
So I think that it's and plus if you want to talk more if you want to move on from Islam we can. But just so you know, for an ideology you're claiming isn't violent, in 2016 there were 2,478 Islamic attacks in 59 different countries where over 21,000 people were killed. In 2017 so far, I'm sure these stats have been updated since I've gotten these. There's been 1,112 Islamic attacks in 49 different countries where over 8,000 people were killed. We're not seeing those rates, those death rates in any other religion.
Mhm.
So we can move on from Islam if you'd like to.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah.
I hope you all enjoyed this as much as I did, my friends. But all we can hope for our young liberal friend here is that he reconsiders his views, because he seems to think that, there's certain things that are probably wrong with what he's saying. And he did give Hunter credit a few times for points that actually challenged what he was saying. But I think he's just so stuck on liberal ideology that he doesn't really know where to go from here, it seems. But we can hope for a change. Because the fact of the matter is, today, if it's something outside of Christianity, you probably can defend it and you probably can't attack it. If it's within Christianity, it's open season. That's liberalism today. Beyond trying to unravel the fabric of our society, I believe the number one intent of liberalism today is to destroy Christianity. Orthodox Christianity, that is. Not a lot of this false Christianity a lot of people believe today. But anyway, thank you all for watching. And as always, I appreciate your continued support on this channel. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. With that said, take care. God bless. Deuces.